Hello, hello. Welcome to the podcast from Equilibre Animal, the podcast for spiritual dog training for women. My name is Rhea, and I support women to train and educate their dogs in a spiritual and feminine way. Hello, and welcome to the first episode of my new podcast in English. My name is Rhea. This name comes from Finland. I was born in Cologne in Germany, and I actually live in the southwest of France. In this first episode, I will talk about my story and my work. So, a little introduction to me and my life. I grew up with cats. Everybody in my family had cats. So, 2008, I traveled to Romania, and during this journey, I found a dog on the street. It was a puppy, and decided to save him. So back in Germany, I had to find a dog trainer because I didn't had a clue about dogs. I didn't know what to do with this puppy, how to educate, how they think, whatever. And I found a dog trainer who, yes, it was 2008, who worked with positive methods. These positive methods were to ignore the dog. He was not allowed to sit on the sofa, lie in the bed, or on the floor in my way. For training him to walk on the lead, I should change directions quickly. And yes, it was, today I would say it was a bit rude. But I didn't know better, so I followed the dog trainer, and it worked. It worked. I was working in a advertising agency in Düsseldorf in Germany, and my dog came with me to the agency. We were always together. We had a little apartment. It was one room, bathroom, and kitchen, and it worked. But I was traveling a lot with my dog. We were in the mountains hiking, and we were on our own, living in a tent, sitting by the fireplace, cooking together, eating together. And this changed my view on my dog, because in the civilization, in the city, um, I lived my life and he had to follow me. When we were in the mountains, in the wild, we were dependent to each other. And my dog had some survival skills that I didn't have, because he was listening better. He could sniff better. He was more sensitive. And this was a very new experience for me, and changed my idea about dogs. So when I was back, I couldn't get back to the old rules, and it didn't make sense to ignore him or to separate him. And yes, then I moved to France, and in France I decided to adopt another dog, Tim. Tim is a border collie. He was in the public shelter. He was 4 years old. He was 1 year in the shelter. Before, he lived 3 years in a small cage on a farm. And yes, he didn't had a clue about anything. He was just fear and panic. He was deeply traumatized, and at this time I didn't knew anything about traumatized animals. So I tried to find a dog trainer who could help me with this dog. And all the dog trainers were the same. They want this dog to, yes, to work, to follow me and my ideas. And I thought, this dog is traumatized. Before I train him anything, he has to heal. We need a healing method. And yes, this was when I started my spiritual journey with Reiki, with animal communication, and these things. this helped a lot. And I decided to make the formation to become a dog trainer behaviorist. This was horrible because I had to do all these things that at this point I just didn't like, but I had to do it. So, okay, I did it. And then when I had my diploma certification, I said, okay, thank you. I can now work with my own methods. And the journey began. I made other formations. I became an osteopath, physiotherapist, and acupuncture for animals. Actually, I do the trust technique practitioner formation. And yes, I started to help traumatized animals. And I support a lot of public shelters and associations here in France. I have a lot of foster dogs. It's mainly dogs from the east of Europe. People adopt dogs in the internet because they want to help to save a life. That's great. That's beautiful. The dogs arrive, traumatized dogs. These dogs were wild and free. They were independent. And now they come into our civilization, into our lives. They shall live in a flat, in an apartment, walk on lead, live with children, television. They are not allowed to run free to organize their own meal. And a lot of dogs cannot cope with this situation. And a lot of people cannot cope with these dogs. So a lot of people abandon these dogs, and if possible, I take them. Some of the dogs I can help, I can train, I can educate, and they can be adopted again. Others just stay with me. When they are half feral dogs that are for a long time and lot more generations were they wild and free, they are not able to cope with a life of a domesticated house dogs. And this was the last years when I made a lot of studies about domestication, house dogs, half feral dogs, street dogs, wild animals. And it is that our domesticated house dogs are in a helpless and dependent situation. We want that, so we have control. And I found out that a lot of normally humans have the same problem, mainly women. Women are held in a dependent and helpless situation. So they do what the system wants them. I don't like to say men because it's not all men, it's not all women, but it's the system that is built up on the free care work of women. And for that, women are in a situation, in a domesticated situation, learned helplessness, absolute dependent, and they have to cope with all these problems. They are not allowed to make their own choices, live their own life wild and free. And so I started to work to support women and their dogs, special women and their dogs, to help themselves to become more independent, to become more self-confident, and live the life they want with their dogs, wild and free. And that doesn't mean that we take off the leads and we do not need any commands or basic education or training. This is, we are living in a society, so this is important. It is important that we look for each other, and we need, yes, we need to support each other, especially as women. We need to help our animals not to suffer anymore from this system that is a very yes, man-based system. In this podcast, I will talk about my story, my history, my dogs. I will talk about the story of my clients. I will give practical tips like when your dog doesn't like to walk on the lead, or doesn't like other dogs, or doesn't like other people, has problems with children, with living in a village, in an apartment, things like that. Also, the basic animal communication, but the practical one, body language, calming signals, so you can read your dog. You can understand and follow the natural way of communication a dog has, because now it is a old military structure. You give a command and your dog has to follow, and this is no cooperation. And you do not have to learn animal communication. You do not have to make a 20-minute meditation to find out what your dog wants. You just have to look at him. He will tell you, or she. So these are the themes, the things I will talk about in this podcast. Yes, I would be happy when you like to follow, if you support the podcast, and I will do one episode a week. And that was for today. I wish you a nice Friday and a nice weekend, and hope that you will listen again. Bye.